Kenneth, and again, I appreciate you guys chiming in. And Kenneth, I'm so anxious. Again, because we had a chance to hang out last week, um, just how impressed I am with you. It's the reason why I wanted this audience to meet you. And I would say that if you don't have a great contact in the Memphis area, then Kenneth Woods is a great one for you to have. And Kenneth, without further ado, my brother, I'm just going to let you take it away. And like I said, we have to shiv it when we need to. So the floor is yours. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, so I'm gonna just start off by just telling a little bit about myself. And if you guys have any questions, just let me know. I won't be able to see the comments since I'm working from my phone. So Ben, if they have any questions, just let me know. But yeah, I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. I ended up going to the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Ended up getting a major in enterprise management. And even then, I was in love with real estate and just the wealth that I knew that it could create. I ended up getting an internship working for BNSF Railway, which then later on led to me moving to Springfield, Missouri to work for the railroad as a manager in operations, which then moved me to their headquarters in Fort Worth, Texas for 5 years. And then I left there and went to work for Amazon for about a year. While I was in Springfield, Missouri, I remember doing research on just trying to learn more about real estate just in general, because I wanted to be able to build that wealth with it that I knew that you could. So I kind of went down this rabbit hole and found this website called biggerpockets.com. Don't know if you guys have ever heard of it, but it's like one of the top real estate investment websites. I actually saw the booth at the Mega Camp. So I was like, okay, this thing is expanding here, pretty crazy. But on there, I would just ask a bunch of different investors, mortgage lenders, just questions all the time, just trying to learn more about it. Because they have like podcasts on there that I would listen to on a regular basis, and just people you could just talk to and just ask questions of in general. And then that's when I found out about wholesaling. So wholesaling is pretty much, I guess there's numerous ways to do wholesaling, but the main way I ended up started doing it while I was in Springfield is just putting up a lot of those signs that said, "We buy houses." And then at that point, you would just take a bunch of phone calls coming in from people. And I guess like out of maybe like 30 calls a month, I would probably end up finding like one deal from there. And it's funny because like once you get your first check from wholesaling, I think it was like $10,000 off of like a $60,000 deal. So after I saw that, I was hooked. I was like, being able to pull this type of extra money off of these small deals, of just being able to negotiate out of the middle, pretty much just the income level. So you pretty much find somebody was like, hey, I want to sell my house. You would get it under contract with those guys for $60,000. Find an investor, and then you would negotiate the other side with that investor, and you would take the money out of the middle, which the first deal was $10,000. And I remember the partner that I had at the time. I told him, I was like, hey man, let's go out and put up some more signs. We haven't been getting as many calls as we should be getting. And it was funny because it was snow on the ground because it's Springfield, Missouri, and it was actually Christmas. He was like, you want to put up signs on Christmas? I was like, yeah, you spend time with your family. I've spent time with my family. I was like, I'm ready if you're ready. And I actually believe the signs that we put up on that day is what led to our first deal being closed in January. So from there, doing real estate in Springfield, Missouri, I ended up leaving Amazon. Okay, so I left Amazon, 2020, like October. And at that point, I was just pretty much just burnt out. I was working pretty much 24/7. And for like 2 months, I just kind of just stopped working, just stopped doing anything, and just took time to just kind of relax. And then I thought about it. I was like, man, I've always been kind of dabbling in real estate the whole time. Like, it's time for me to go full-fledged into it. So I started studying for my license, I want to say maybe end of December. And went on and got my license, passed the test and everything for Tennessee in February. End up interviewing with 3 brokerages, ended up going with KW. It just felt right. It just felt like, hey, this is the place for me to be. So got started. What was crazy is during that same time frame, I was also struggling with anxiety for the first time ever in my life. So as I was trying to to work and learn real estate from an agent perspective, it was just kind of different for me because it felt like I was driving with the brakes on. So I wasn't as efficient I was normally be. It was harder for me to learn stuff like I normally would have learned it. It was just different, just in general. So that first year, I didn't really do as well as I wanted to. I think I closed maybe 3 deals total that first year. I believe the very first one was like my niece. A second one was a guy that I went to high school with, a listing from him. And then another one was an agent referral that I ended up getting from a young lady. So she had the client, she had been helping her look for a property. And her job just had her really busy with trying to get that done while holding her other job. And then the office just kind of recommended me. It was like, hey, Ken is a great agent to work with. Just kind of work with him, see if you guys are a good fit. I think the first offer I wrote for her, we got accepted, got another contract, and it was all she wrote. From there, everything kind of started going in. I think that January, I think I had probably like 5 closings of January of 2022. So yeah, January of this year, I had 5 closings. And from there, it's just been kind of continuing to go. Like this year, I was like, hey, I'm not going to let anxiety slow me down. I'm going to try to kill it as much as possible. And the goal was to do about 25 to 30 units. So right now I'm at about 14. And the main thing that I want to do, it wasn't even about like sales volume or anything like that. It was just mainly to build credibility. I remember working in the railroad. The industry is just kind of different from a lot of other industries. And a lot of railroaders take pride in their work. So coming in as a new college kid into the industry, a lot of those guys aren't going to want to listen to this young 24-year-old manager. A lot of these guys are 50, 60 years old. They're like, this young punk doesn't know nothing about the railroad. So the whole thing is to build credibility. So I figured that was kind of going to be the same thing I was going to have to do with real estate as well. It's all about as many deals as you can do and just learning from every experience because each experience is going to be different. So from there, I just work with as many agents as possible and didn't turn down any deals. If it was a $60,000 house, I took it. If it was higher, $500,000 listing, I took it. Initially, the referral fees from agents were about 25%, but at a certain point, they started incrementally going up, especially for some listings. At some point, I was paying like 50% on referral fees out to other agents. But I'm no longer doing that, Ben.
Good.
But yeah, that was just strictly just to kind of get as much volume as possible, to get as much experience as possible. So now whenever I talk to clients and I'm going to get a listing appointment because I was just on one yesterday, I'm able to send them videos of previous listings I've done before, all because I was able to kind of get that experience a little bit faster. Outside of that, one of the things that helped out drastically as well was one of the deals that I worked on in January was a Veterans United client. And I remember at the time, I didn't have my license in Mississippi. So I was partnering with another agent on that, just kind of hanging around, just trying to be in the mix until I got my license. So it was getting close to closing. Then there was a lot of paperwork that hadn't been signed or done, but I really couldn't do too much because I didn't have my license time. So once I got my actual license, then at that point I could jump in, just kind of help out a little bit more. And I was able to get a lot of paperwork taken care of and make sure that we closed on time. And I guess at that point, it impressed that mortgage lender for Veterans United. And he ended up putting me on this preferred agents list that those guys have where they send you referrals on a regular basis. So they kind of helped to drum up some more business for me, as well as me hopping on with Ojo. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but it's a referral-based business where they send you a lot of referrals. Some good, some bad. But overall, it's able to get you experience with working with clients, and you're able to continue to just kind of build your business from there. Let me see. Outside of that, so I remember at one point, since I worked with so many agents, because I was kind of like the go-to referral agent. So here in Memphis, you're right here on the borderline of like Tennessee and Mississippi. So literally, like it's like 5 minutes over to get to Mississippi. So in our market center, we have about 410 agents for Tennessee. But for Mississippi, I don't know the exact number, but I know we have a significant amount less. So that Veterans United client that I ended up working with, those guys were actually looking to sell their $400,000 house and purchase like a $520,000 house in Mississippi. So I quickly got my license because I didn't want to constantly be sending out referrals. And then I saw that a lot of clients were looking to sell in Tennessee and buy in Mississippi. So we just kind of created a good relationship with different agents in our office. I was able to kind of end up being one of the go-to agents when it came to those Tennessee agents needing a referral agent for Mississippi, which that definitely helped to drum up my business as well. And then I randomly ended up getting my license also in Georgia, which is kind of random. I happened to be on GroupMe talking to one of my fraternity brothers. They were just kind of asking for people to like make donations to our younger chapter. And one of the guys was like, "Hey, Ken, I know you got money over there. Can you donate some money to the chapter?" And I was like, "Well, I just left Amazon. I'm just now still trying to get my real estate business going." I was like, "But if you give me some of those listings that you have in Georgia, I'll definitely be able to donate more." So that ended up resulting in him saying, "All right, well, if you get your license, maybe we could talk about something." I got my license like a month later in Georgia. And then next thing you know, he was just kind of giving me listing after listing. I think I probably ended up getting like 3 of them total from him, maybe four. But I was only able to get maybe 3 sold, I believe. So it was just a matter of, like I said, that my mentality at the time was just as much volume as possible. And they weren't major deals. They were somewhere between like 80 and 100,000, but it gave me some experience as well with not just working with investors on the wholesale side, but now as a real estate agent. So just continuing to learn and just being put in different positions.
Ken, I can tell you, I wanted you on because I've had so many people that are veterans of this business and that have done this for a long time. You, on the other hand, you've only done it for a very short while. And matter of fact, I can tell you, I think you're the youngest member that I've ever had on. But I've been so impressed with your persistence, your professionalism, the fact that you haven't even done it for 2 years. And what we know is the average agent in America works 51 hours a week and they produce between 5 and 7 units. You've hyperspaced past that, right? And my hope is that if you're on this call and you're not doing what you want to do, here's a young man that is doing way more units than the average agent is doing, and I hope that someone is inspired by your success, and knowing that you've got to be laser focused, and you've got to have the stick-to-itiveness that it takes in order to get through any obstacle in front of you. So real quick, Ashley asked, what'd you say?
Oh no, I was just gonna tell them like it's not like you were saying, it's not always rainbows. Like I was just telling you a couple of days ago, like how I had 6 deals under contract for like 1.5. 6 fell through within a month's time frame. I caught COVID and the deals just fell through. 2 due to inspection, 2 due to financing, 1 due to a seller just completely backing of the deal at the closing table because he didn't have good credit and was like, "Hey, I don't have anywhere to go." And another one just fell through maybe 3-4 days ago. The seller ended up having IRS issues and chose not to sell. Well, he said he couldn't sell to my buyer. So just learning from each and every last one of those situations and just figuring out, all right, one, you need to have more leads in your pipeline so that this stuff doesn't affect you as much. And then 2, just making sure that if there's anything you can proactively do on your end to try to get ahead of some of this stuff, just start putting systems in place to try to get it done.
Again, we hear bulletproof the transaction all the time, and that's exactly what you just referred to. Ashley wanted to know, did you have a transition basically planned, or did you just, especially from Amazon, you just jumped right in? And I really think that you kind of spoke to that with, you were already kind of doing wholesaling, and so you thought now it's time to really just dive all the way in.
I wasn't able to do wholesaling while I was here in Memphis when I moved here. And that's just mainly, I think, just the way like Amazon is designed. Like for the most part, if you're working for Amazon, they're going to want you to work nonstop. And I remember getting a call from my boss one day, and he was like, "Hey, I want to see you in the office more." And it was funny because like he had been my boss for 6 months in Memphis, and I had never seen him face to face. He was like, "Your people needs to see you more," and I was like, "I've never seen you." Is what I was thinking in my head, but I didn't say it. But I had like 3 locations I was trying to cover, and like I just wouldn't really get any sleep. And then for me to hear him tell me that he wanted me to work more hours after I was already burnt out and not sleeping, at that point I just kind of quit and was just like, all right, I'm gonna just kind of figure it out. It's time for me to jump 100% into real estate now. I've always wanted to do it, and I've always only did it whenever I could find that time on the side outside of my 9 to 5 job. Which those jobs were never 9 to 5. It was always something like 50 at 5 hours a week I was working. So I just figured this would give me enough opportunity to jump fully in and just have faith that I was going to land on my feet with real estate.
Indeed. Well, again, I think you mentioned faith, and what you and I both know is you were bringing the confidence. You're already part of an amazing community. I think that's what we were doing last week, is we were engaging in that community. I know Crystal was there. There were a number of folks on this call. Ashley was there. You were there. Kelly Can was there. There were so many of us that were there, kind of pouring into each other and really making connections. And I think what we know is community is so important, you know, and who you're in business with matters, and who you hang around with. And I love you and I spending time together. And I know as of yesterday, we've already got booked for Anaheim. Can't wait, right? In February, we'll be here before you know it. So, guys, again, Ken, as we depart here, is there any final words that you'd like to impart on us, or are you good? Is there a question that that you'd like to answer before I even ask the question?
One thing I'll say is that I initially first starting off, I remember just they kind of saw me as a leader in my Ignite class. So a lot of agents would come and ask me a lot of questions, and I didn't have all the answers at all. But I think it helped me to learn faster because these guys were asking questions I didn't even think to answer, or just I didn't even know to ask. So it allowed me to just kind of learn a little bit faster than what I think the typical agent was able to learn. And at a certain point, I remember looking at that almost in a negative space, because I was like, man, like with me helping out so many other new agents, like it's kind of holding me back some from being able to propel my business. But honestly, a lot of the business I've been getting has been from those agents who've asked me for help. So I just think a lot of times too, a lot of things that you may look at, it may actually be a blessing in disguise. It's been, I'll say at least one agent in particular, she's probably given me at least like $1.5 million in business, just from just the people she's introduced me to just alone. So it's just something like you never know where your blessings come. Just continue to keep your head down and keep working and just keep helping people, providing value. And it always comes back, maybe not even immediately, but maybe 6 months down the line, maybe a year down the line, somebody remember that you helped them out when a lot of other people weren't answering the phone or answering text messages, and they'll think about you first.
Ken, that's so powerful. What we know is this: you never know who's praying for you, who's blessing you. They saw you as a leader, maybe when you didn't even see it yourself, right? You were inspiring. Yeah, you were inspiring people and didn't even know. And again, I didn't create this, but it's the law of left field. You're sitting here, you're focused here, and then all of a sudden, boom, right here, here's a blessing that comes, right? Again, I love it, man. Just keep being you, and being genuine, and leading in that area. And like I said before, guys, if you know anybody that's looking in the Memphis area, this guy right here will take amazing care of your clients, and we'll be glad to send a very reasonable referral fee back.
No more 50%. That's done for.
Amen.
Take care of your client.
Amen. Right, Krista? Amen. Reasonable is what I said. So absolutely. Guys, I appreciate you chiming in today and giving me about 24 minutes of your time. Ken, I appreciate you for honoring and blessing me. And again, I say it each and every week, man. You brought the meat. And my real hope is that someone here has been inspired by this young man and his success. And I know it will continue. And I will tell you over the next 3 weeks, I've got some just amazing people that I respect, and I know that you'll also learn from and you'll get some benefit from. So if your schedule permits, chime in next Tuesday at 10:30, and I promise you it will not be a waste of your time at all. Like we say here at Dallas Preston Road, today is a great day, I think, to go serve the needs of someone who needs our help, and to go take a correctly priced listing. Money, 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 money. Money, money, money.